Hi mate, today we're going through underswitches and how to do a good underswitch without making the mistake of turning it into an overswitch. Now you might be asking, what is an overswitch? I'll get to that just in a second. Let's check it out. Hi mate, my name's Adam and I help you return to the gym and stay there. So we're talking about underswitches. Now, let's just kick off by showing you what an underswitch is, and then we'll get into what an overswitch is, or the common mistakes that people make when they're trying to get their first underswitch, okay? So let's get started with where do you need your hands, where do you need your feet, okay? With doing your underswitch, a lot of people want everything to be spaced quite far away from them. We want to make sure that we're actually a bit more bunched up than what we usually are, okay? So we're starting in crab position here. So the idea is you want to feel like you're being a little bit bunched up with these. So where we want our hands, we don't want them right up close to us or our feet right up close to us, straight underneath it. And we don't want them too far away there. We want them somewhere in between there, okay? Which would be in this kind of position, okay? So this one, you might find that you might feel like you're a little bit more bunched up with these, but the closer your hands and feet are, the easier it's gonna make you to spin around. If your hands and feet are too far away from you, your center of mass is spread very thinly between your feet and your arms. If we keep them nice and together like that, you're gonna get a much nicer spin, and it's just gonna make things a lot easier in the long run. So we've got the feet and the hands right. And the way we want to space them out is, I like to think just everything shoulder width apart, like so, okay? So hip width would be kind of like in this position, and this would be outside of shoulder width, would have something like this, okay? So just so you can see my hands, just like that. And to make a really good crab position is we don't want to be pressing up too high. We want to be able to get ourselves in this position and just gently have the butt just lifting up off the floor, almost like we could separate your butt and the floor with a sheet of paper. We want to make sure that our knees are driving out like that, not driving in. And the same thing goes for our hands. We're thinking about driving the back of our elbows forwards and not folding in, okay? Back of our elbows forwards, and then just keeping that chest nice and big and getting a little bit of an arch in our back, okay? We don't want to be folding in like this, okay? All right, so let's look at what an actual underswitch looks like. So if I start it in line like this, so what we're doing, we're in this position here. So I'm pivoting off these two hands here, pivoting onto my heel right there, and then stepping out onto that foot, and then I'm in crab. Okay, so the biggest key thing here is to make sure that your toes line up where you want your crab or your line position to end up on, okay? So what you want to do is make sure that you're setting yourself up for the next position that's coming after this, okay? So I'd start off here, I'd pivot on these two hands, this hands and feet here, and I'm pivoting around until I find my spot. So if I'm stopping there, then I want to drop my heel and go into that crab position there. And if I'm going around the other way, so say if I'm going back, I'm pivoting on these two and I'm spinning around on that toe keeps going. And then once I've found my position, I stop it right there, okay? Now, when you're first learning the underswitch, you're going to forget to do an underswitch and you're going to do something that's called an overswitch. So I'm going to show you a great way to remember that you'll never forget while you're doing this movement. Okay, so what a lot of people tend to do is they just try to spin. They just try to move and they forget that which way they're spinning sometimes if you try to do it too quickly or if you're just new to it. So what a lot of people do, they'll end up in this position here and they'll end up lifting the two limbs on the same side. So instead of lifting these two, they'll end up lifting two on the same side and they'll end up doing something like that. Okay, so they'll end up square, which is an overswitch. What we want to make sure to do is use the underswitch, is be going under, not over. So the way I remember that is if I'm in my line, I've got my two limbs here, and I'm actually grabbing my knee and I'm pulling that through with me, okay? Or the other way to think about it is I'm actually got this knee and I'm pushing it under me each time. I'm either pushing that knee under me or I'm pulling it from under me. Okay, so you can start off doing the underswitch by putting one hand on that knee. It just gives you a place to put that hand so that you don't accidentally and end up doing an overswitch. What we also want to make sure when we're doing the underswitch is making sure that we're very tight and our center of mass is close to us. In other words, we don't want our limbs flying anywhere or everywhere. It's going to make us a lot harder to do the spin. So what we can do is we just want to make sure that each time we're doing that spin is we're not trying to reach out or anything like that or kick our leg out. We want to stay everything tight. Okay, so another way is just you can either grab onto that knee or you just put your hand on that chest, okay? And you want to bring that hand straight away into that position rather than swing it into position, okay? Because the closer you keep that hand, the easier it is going to get back in and out of that spin, okay? Another mistake that I see too often is people having their hips too high, okay? If we bring our hips way too high, it makes it a lot harder to spin and it throws off our center of gravity all over the place. So what it looks like with the high hips is if we're starting off in crab and people slowly getting the hips going up like that, what ends up happening is they go up and they end up in something like a bear crawl or something like that. And what that ends up doing is just putting a lot more pressure on the shoulders than what you really need to do. And you're not going to really get a nice clean spin as you do it, as you would if you kept everything tucked away and spun around like so, okay? The key is to keep your hips close to the floor and keep your butt close to the floor without touching the floor. If you're just new to doing the underswitch, I'd recommend just keeping the pauses in between going from crab to line. And once you get better, you can slowly start to speed it up, okay? So you can start in your crab position here, like so, and then pausing at each time you spin around, okay? Once you start getting a bit better at this, you can start to move it around a bit and try to go both ways. Start off by pausing in your line and pausing in your crab just so that you get the hang of it. And just so that you don't forget to bring your knee under rather than bringing your knee over and doing an overswitch. Like with most things in animal flow or in the gym, it's always best practice to start them off slowly and slowly grade them up, okay? Just make sure you get the basics right, like the underswitch, keeping everything kind of tucked together, your butt close to the floor, and you'll do fine. If you're looking on different ways to advance your underswitch or starting to add stuff in like a side kick through, make sure to check out my side kick through video. Anyway, that's it for me. So just make sure if you want to check out more videos from me to hit that subscribe button and also give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And also write a comment below. I'm going to be making more videos like this of animal flow moves. So if you comment below on what do you find is the hardest move for you to get, and I'll make a video on it especially for you. So make sure to write a comment below. My name's Adam and I help you return to the gym and stay there.